Today we will wrap up our review of the 4 key arithmetic operations by practicing division with decimals. When done, we will have gone over adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing real numbers, whether they are integers, decimals, or fractions. So let's get started. I will admit, this is not one of my favorite topics, dividing with decimals, but it's still a useful skill to have. And fortunately, it is similar to standard long division, but with one added step at the beginning. So the additional step when dividing by decimals is to get rid of the decimal portion in the divisor. So if we multiply this by 10, that allows us to move this one space to the right, giving us 7. So our divisor no longer has a decimal portion. But what we do to the divisor, we also have to do the dividend. So we also have to move the decimal point 1 over to the right, multiply by 10. And that gives us 21.7 in the dividend. So this is our new expression. So we'll do 7 divided into 21.7. 7 goes into 21 3 times. 21. It gives us 0. We bring down the 7. That goes in 1 time. Have the decimal place there. And then 7 times 1 is 7. And we have a remainder of 0. Our answer is 3.1. So in this second problem, we have to move the decimal point 2 spaces in order to get rid of the decimal portion in the divisor. That's the same as multiplying by 100. So that's going to give us 357 in the divisor. What we do to the divisor, we also have to do the dividend. So we're going to multiply the dividend by 100. Moves it 2 decimal spaces to the right. So now we have 981.75 divided by 357. So now let's do this math. So 357 divided into 981.75. This goes in 2 times. We get 14. Carry that 1. 10, 11. Carry another 1. And then that's 714. Subtraction here. So it's going to give us 11 minus 4 is 7. That's 6. So 267. We'll bring down that 7. We'll move the decimal place up. That's going to go in 7 times. So that's 49. 35, 39. Carry the 3. And then 21 plus 3 is 24. And then we're going to subtract again. So 17 minus 9 is 8. 16 minus 9 is 7. 5 minus 4 is 1. Then we'll bring down the 5. And then that goes in 5 times. So now we have 5 times 7. That's 35. Carry that 3. 5 times 5 is 25 plus 3 is 8. Then we have 2. And then 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2 is 17. And we have a remainder of 0. So our answer is 2.75. So let's practice a few more. And to start, we can ignore the signs and deal with them at the end. So we're going to divide 0.826 by 0.08. First, we're going to move these decimal points over. So now instead of 0.08, we have 8. That's the same as multiplying by 100. And then what we do to the divisor, we also have to do the dividend. So that gets moved over 2 spaces. So we now have 8 into 82.6. 8 goes into 8 1 time. Brings us a 0. Then we bring down that 2. 8 does not go into 2. So that's a 0. Bring the decimal point up. Now we have a 0 here. Gives us a 2. And then we bring down the 6. 8 goes into 26 3 times. That's 24. Difference of that is 2. Got a 0 here. We'll bring down the 0. 8 goes into 22 times. So that's 16. Now we have a 4, and then we bring down another 0. And then 8 goes into 45 times, and that's 40, and then we have a 0. So we have 10.325, and then it's a negative divided by a negative, so a negative and a negative, that will be a positive. So the answer is 10.325. And then just looking at it in a different way, using the kind of that fraction bar as division. So this is the same as negative 5.292 divided by, using the standard division sign, 0.14. Now it's uncommon to have a mixture of decimals and fractions as a final answer. It's not really good form, but you may end up with something like this as you're working through a problem. And mathematically, it's perfectly okay. We'll go ahead and get rid of the decimal point and the divisor. Again, that's the denominator. We're going to be moving it over 2 spaces. And then we'll be doing the same thing to the numerator, the dividend. So that's going to leave us with negative 529.2 divided by 14. So we do have a negative divided by a positive, so our answer will be negative. Signs are different, so negative. But let's go ahead and do the division. So we have 14 divided into 529.2. So 14, 28, 42. So this will be 3. It's 12, carry the 1. So there's our 42. That's a 0. That's a 1. We bring down the 9. So if we have 8 here, that's going to give us 80 plus another 32. So that will put us above 109. So we'll do 7. So 7 times 4 is 28. Carry the 2. That's 7 plus 2 is 9. Gives us a 1 here. Borrow from that 10. Then we have another 1, and then we bring down the 2. And then this is 8. So 14 or 8 times 4 is 32. Carry that 3, and then 8 plus 3 is 11. Leaving us with no remainder. So now our answer is 37.8. And again, it's a negative divided by a positive, so this is negative 37.8. Now we're going to learn a quick trick for dividing by powers of 10. So this is called a power of 10. This is 10 to the first power. We're multiplying by 10 once. 100 is 10 to the second power. So this is 10 times 10, which is 10 to the second power. And then 1,000 is 10 times 10 times 10, which is 10 to the third power. We could do the same thing with 10 to the 4th, 10 to the 5th, 10 to the 6th, and so on. So let's go back to this 10 to the first power. When we divide by 10, what we end up doing is moving the decimal place to the left. It's getting smaller. 1 space. So this is 0.217. Again, you can do long division, but this is a quicker method. Now we're dividing by 1,000. We're going to move it over 3 spaces. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. So now we have 0.2035. The number is negative, so this will stay negative. And then finally, we have 459.23 divided by negative 100, or 10 to the second power. So we're going to move to the left 2 spaces, 10 to the second power, 2 spaces. We have 4.5923. This is a positive number divided by a negative, so the answer is negative. Again, long division will work fine. You'll get the same answer if everything is done correctly. This is just a quicker way of division by powers of 10. Today we're going to review percent change because that often involves division by decimals. So here we have over a 20-year period, the population of Whitefall went from 6.4 million to 4.8 million people. What is the percent change in the city's population? So for percent change, you take the final amount and you subtract the initial amount. You divide by that initial amount, and then you multiply this all by 100 to get that percentage. So our final amount was 4.8. So we're finding that difference, minus 6.4, divided by 6.4. So now we're reviewing both subtraction and division of decimals. So we can quickly change this subtraction to addition. So this would be 4.8 plus a negative 6.4. Signs are different, so we find the difference. So that's going to be 6.4 minus 4.8. We're going to need to borrow from this 6. That becomes 14 minus 8 is 6. Bring down the decimal place. And then 5 minus 4 is 1. And then we keep the sign of the larger 1. So that is negative 1.6 divided by 6.4. And then now we get rid of the decimal place in our divisor. We do that by multiplying both the dividend and the divisor by 10. That will move it over one space to the right. So now we have negative 16 all over 64. So we'll ignore the signs at the start. We'll do the long division. So we have 64 divided into 16. Well, 64 doesn't go into 16. So we're going to bring down that decimal point. We're going to put a 0 here. The 64 goes into 160. Well, 3 times 60 is 180. So 3 is going to put it over. So we'll do 2. 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times 6 is 12. We'll borrow from this 6. Carry the 1. That gives us a 2 and a 3. And then we bring down another 0. Get our decimal places right in front of this 2 here. And then 64 goes into 32. Let's try 5 times. So 5 times 4 is 20. 0 there, carry the 2. And then 6 times 5 is 30, plus 2 is 32. Leaves us with 0. So this is now 0.25. We divide a negative by a positive, so this is negative. And then we'll multiply by 100. And that gives us negative 25%. So the percent change in the city's population was negative 25%. It decreased by 1/4 in that 20-year time frame. A great way to learn is to practice on your own. We will discuss in a bit, but go ahead and pause your screen and do these 4 problems. Okay, for the first 2, we are practicing our long division skills, extending it out to decimals, practicing that first step of converting the divisor to not have a decimal point. So in this case, we multiplied by 100, both the divisor and the dividend, ending up with 240 divided by 6, resulting in 40. Negative divided by negative is going to end up with a positive. Same with the second one. Here we have a positive divided by a positive. The answer is positive as well. And then from the third, we're working on division by powers of 10. 1,000 is 10 to the third. Kind of count those zeros. We have 3 zeros. We're going to move this to the left. It's getting smaller. 3 decimal places. Ending up with negative 0.29405. And finally, another percent change. In this case, we're talking about the change in the price of something. So due to inflation, my favorite soup went from 76 cents per can to $1.52 per can. What was the percent change in the cost of my soup? So again, we take the final price, 1.52, minus the initial price, 0.76, and divide it by that initial. And then multiply by 100% to get it into percents. Quick subtraction here. We ended up with 0.76 divided by 0.76. That's 1. So now we have 1 times 100%. That's 100%. So the cost of the soup increased 100%. That also means it doubled. So if anything goes up 100%, it's the same as doubling in price. So 76 cents times 2, or 0.76 plus 0.76 is 1.52. So the cost doubled. Continue practicing dividing with decimals, and I'll see you in the next video.